So this video is going to be for you who feels like your life is changing so fast and you are quickly outgrowing people, environments, places, habits, routines, things that you used to do, things that, once were very normal to you, once were very regular to you. You kind of gotten attached to them, accustomed to them. And now it just feels like, it's not really fitting anymore, and you feel that call, like that it's time to let that shit go. It's time for something different. But you may feel a little hesitant, or you may be going with it. You may be in the process of just letting yourself let these things go, but it can feel a little disorienting at times because hey Lana, I'm recording a video. I'm recording a YouTube video and I'm on TikTok live right now. So that's why I got this microphone. But basically you're outgrowing versions of yourself faster than you may have ever done before in the past. And you're like, whoa, this feels fucking crazy. I feel like I'm a new person. People are still talking to me and they're still associating me with like an older version of myself. And I'm not really that version of myself anymore. I'm actually like literally quantum leaping across realities, across frequencies, across versions of myself. And I'm just here to tell you that is normal. This is something I have been experiencing, honestly, for the past couple of years now. And it does, when you're first doing it, it freaks you out. But I want you to know that you are slowly shifting into a version of yourself where you're letting your soul lead your life versus your ego attachments. Your ego is attached to the identities of you. Your ego is attached to your personality, your habits, your job, your occupation, the relationships that you have in your life, the people that you are connected to and attached to. That's what your ego is, how it identifies itself, how it like makes up who you are essentially. But that's not really who you are. These are just different elements that you experience in your life. Your soul is really the essence of who you are. And when you start to heal, when you start to integrate parts of your soul, when you start to live from a more soul-led life, when you start to live a life where your soul is in the lead versus your ego, you're going to start to feel things shift. You're going to start to feel like you want to do things differently. You're not really connecting with people from your past in the same way. They're not really connecting with you in the same way either. Shit just doesn't feel like it resonates anymore. And that's totally normal. You're not crazy. You're just shifting frequencies. You're just shifting into a new frequency. And I just want to talk about what that looks like and what that feels like to let you know that you are not alone and it's totally normal, and honestly you're on the right path. So let's get into it. So yeah, if you're in a season where your life is shifting so fast and you feel like you can barely keep up, but you may be resisting it even a little bit, things like people, places, routines, etc., that once felt like home to you, once felt super regular, they just don't fit anymore. This is for you, because this is not a breakdown. You're not flaky. I want you to know that. That's something that I really battled with for a long time. I was like, damn, like I keep switching up my life. I keep switching up things. Like people can't even keep up. I'll have friends that like knew me, a couple years ago. They're like, oh, are you still doing this, that? And I'm like, no, like I don't even do that anymore. I have moved on to something different. I'm in a completely different lane. I'm in a completely different season. And this is because a lot of people are actually living on a loop. A lot of people are repeating the same version of their lives year after year after year. Now, don't get me wrong. We are all changing. We are all constantly changing all the time. We are constantly shifting. Life is about change, right? But not all of us are consciously changing. Not all of us are choosing to change intentionally. And that's what I want you to understand. When you're just going by change as like something that happens to you versus something that you are intentionally putting forth an effort, putting forth intention to make happen in your life, those are two completely different frequencies. Those are two completely different realities. Those are two completely different ways of living life. One where change is happening to you versus the other one where you are creating change in your life. You are intentionally putting forth the change in your life. So when you are doing that, you are actually living in, I would like to call that, let's just call that, you're living in like the quantum reality where time is not so linear. The way that things can happen in your life when you are intentionally changing, when you are intentionally like shifting things and trying to evolve, trying to change, you are living in what I would like to call a quantum state versus just a linear, progression, biological state or rate of change. And this can, when you are living, most people are living in this like linear, they just do the same thing. Their life is literally on a loop. It's just like the same thing over and over again, year after year after year. And when you choose to intentionally change, and when you start really getting into that, it can feel kind of lonely. It can feel confusing. It can feel isolating. You can even, I struggle with this, feel guilty. I feel guilty about changing a lot of the time because I feel like sometimes I feel like I have to explain myself to people who get used to one version of me, but they're really like, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not that person anymore. And so it's like I have to explain the way that I've changed, or I have to explain myself, or I have to explain why I'm not going to this. I don't want to be around this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not into this anymore. I'm not really feeling the same way as you may have gotten used to me feeling, or I'm not showing up in the same way that you may have gotten used to me showing up. I feel guilty about that sometimes. I'm not even going to lie. Like, I feel like, oh my gosh, like I really care about this person. I really cared about this connection. I really cared about this environment. I really cared about this space. But now I feel like I have to explain like, oh my gosh, I'm changing. I'm not into this anymore. So, yeah, when you're on this path, when you're healing, when you are stepping into your soul aligned path, when you are stepping into alignment, period, you collapse timelines. This is shifting you into a frequency where you are literally collapsing timelines in your life. There are infinite timelines. We are all on different timelines at different points in our lives. We are shifting timelines all the time. Every single choice that you make, every time you make a choice, you are setting yourself on a timeline. Every action leads to a reaction. Every choice leads to a consequence, so on and so forth. So when you make a choice, you are setting yourself on a specific path. You are setting yourself on a timeline. But when you start intentionally choosing your timeline, that is literally how you collapse old timelines. That is how you collapse past versions of yourself and you do something different. And that's how you set your energy into a new timeline. That's how you set your energy into a new space. So this is how you start to embody a new identity. This is how you start to embody a new frequency by making different choices, by breaking the old patterns, by breaking the old loops. And so the more that you do this and the more that you allow yourself to do this and do this from a healed version of yourself, the more you are collapsing timelines, the more you are shifting, the more you are literally changing. You're shifting from living on just a loop or a linear time where it's just like you're doing the same thing over and over again to literally jumping. You're shifting, you're shifting your timeline. So this happens when you do your shadow work. This happens when you get into energetic alignment with what your soul is calling for you, with a different path, with your higher path. That's what I should say. With your higher path, your outer reality starts to shift because you're shifting internally. You're not just staying the same. You're not staying the same version of yourself inside. You're choosing different for yourself. 10 times out of 10, you're starting to choose yourself. You're starting to choose your higher self. You're starting to feel from a version of your higher self, which is your whole and healed version of yourself, the one that knows that they are worthy, the one that knows that, what you really want, what you really desire, and that you can have your desires. You start to move differently out here. And that's what's going to make it feel like you are changing. And once you build up that momentum, these changes are going to start to occur faster and faster and faster. It's like compounding interest. Like it starts small, but these small changes literally lead to huge frequency shifts, huge quantum leaps and timeline jumps. That's just how it works. So your reality is shifting to match your inner frequency. And that means that, like I said, people, routines, careers, things in your external reality are going to start to fall away. Anything that does not really align or does not match with what is your frequency internally is going to start to fall away. It's going to start to collapse. You're collapsing the old timelines. It's going to start to crumble, essentially. So, but you are looping. I mean, you are not looping. You are not looping. You are leaping. And this is not chaos. This is congruence. This is literally you. This is reality showing you that your inner world is changing, and so your outer world is going to change too. As within, so without, as above, so below. As above in your higher self, as below in your material self. So you're not inconsistent. You're following your assignment. You are literally following your soul assignment. Your soul is starting to outpace where your spirit, your soul from in the spirit realm is starting to outpace where you physically are in the material realm. So this is why these things are changing. This is why things are just like falling away. Things are collapsing. It may even feel like it's happening out of your control when you fully surrender. That's what's happening. You're surrendering. You're allowing this to happen. And you have to trust that although it may feel disorienting, you're still on the right path. You're still doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. And I want to talk about the guilt you may feel and the grief that you're inevitably going to feel when you start to outgrow things. So when my life shifts, and it shifts way more often, way more often than a lot of people around me, I do feel guilty. I feel like I need to explain myself. I feel like I need to apologize. I feel like, I have to justify these changes that are occurring within me to people who remember an older version of me, to people who got used to this old identity, this older version of myself. And I have to be like, hey, I'm actually not her anymore. I'm not even this girl anymore. I'm not into this anymore. I'm not coming to this anymore. I'm not doing this anymore. It's really, they're still relating to a past version of myself. That's really all it is. Once my soul is leading the way, the old version of myself, she's gone. She's gone. And that's why it's so important to really cherish the present moment. It's so important to really be present in the present, because when you're on this path, you understand that these moments are not going to last forever. These moments are not going to stay the same. You're not going to stay the same version of yourself. And you're going to be around people that eventually you're going to separate from. You're going to have to grieve a lot. I have gotten used to the process of grieving. Grief has taught me so much in the past 2 years. In a way that I really wasn't ready for. And it's dark. It is dark. It feels lonely. Sometimes you have to let go of attachments that you're not really ready to let go of. You don't really want to let go of. You're like, no, I wanted to experience this for a little bit longer. Or no, I wanted to hold on to this for a little bit longer. But when you're choosing evolution, when you're choosing soul growth, when you're choosing to be led by your soul, you have to let these things go. And the more you resist letting it go, the more painful it's going to feel. It's going to feel harder when you don't just surrender, when you don't just allow yourself to surrender and trust in the process that whatever you're letting go is only going to be replaced with something that is more aligned. And not everything is going to have to be let go of. If it's still in alignment, you can still keep it. You still get to keep it. It's a match for your frequency. So it's still going to be in your life, but you will know. You will have an intuitive knowing when something is not aligned with your frequency anymore. And it's time to have the courage to graciously let that shit go. And it's hard, but it's just like you're not in that timeline. You have to keep evolving. You have to keep going. And you don't have to stop and explain yourself all the time either. You can. I do it. I do it. You don't have to, but I do it because a lot of the times it is like relationships with people that I really do care about, and I don't want them to think I'm just like switching up on them, even though that's kind of low-key exactly what happens. I'm not switching up on them. I have switched up on myself, and the version of myself that I've switched into is no longer aligned with what used to be. And but that guilty feeling, it comes from the ego. It's your ego trying to maintain its old identity. It's trying to maintain the identity that it became attached to, and it's trying to keep other people comfortable. You may have people-pleasing tendencies. You may, you don't want to rock the boat. You want to make everybody feel comfortable around you. You want to be likable. You want to be loved. You don't want to risk losing love, essentially. But that's where you really have to love yourself. You have that self-love really has to get magnified in those moments where you're not choosing to put other people before your evolution. You're choosing your own evolution overall, always, because that is essentially what you're doing all this work for, right? So grief, like I said, it comes from letting go of past versions of yourselves, routines, connections that once felt really special to you. But it's that version of you just doesn't exist anymore, and they're probably not coming back. But trust that things that are more aligned with you are on the way. You have to let yourself grieve. You have to honor. You can always honor what that was to you. It doesn't mean that these things didn't mean to you. Didn't mean anything to you. It doesn't mean that these things weren't sacred to you. It just means that it's no longer aligned, and it's not personal. I say this all the time. It's not personal. It's just energy. So the more you evolve spiritually, the more your soul is running the show, the less your ego is running the show. So the ego is attached, like I said earlier, the ego is attached to your roles that you play, the routines that you have, other people's opinions and perceptions of who you are, etc. But the more you evolve and the more you become soul-led, the more that you heal and integrate all the parts of your soul, you're really only gonna be attached to what your ego allows you to, to what your soul allows your ego to attach to. You're only gonna be attached to what your soul allows your ego to attach to. Now I'm gonna say that one more time. You're only gonna be attached to what your soul allows your ego to be attached to. And sometimes those things are not going to stay long. You're not trying to get comfortable in a certain ego mask. You're not trying to get comfortable in a certain identity. You're really learning how to be comfortable in your soul, in your soul's essence, in your purpose. That's really what you want to learn to be comfortable with. And your ego is just going to have fun and play with that. Your ego is just going to go along for the ride. Your ego is going to be where you get to really hype that version of your soul up. Your ego is going to help you hype up what it is that your soul's essence is, the more that you begin to integrate your soul. So, you give yourself permission to just be who you authentically and truly are, and that becomes what your ego forms its new identity under, if that makes sense. Oh, thank you. I love you guys. Hi. Thank you so much. I don't even know what all this stuff is. Oh, SJ. Hi, SJ. I'm like, there's all this stuff happening in my thing. I have no idea what the hell is going on. I don't go live that much, but I'm here. Letting my soul lead the way, literally. So yeah. When you know something no longer is resonant in the field of your soul. What does that feel like? What does that look like? You're gonna know it. You're gonna know it. It's an intuitive feeling. You can feel it in your body when you feel super uncomfortable in environments that you once used to love to be around. When you feel like old habits are no longer really clicking for you anymore. When you're getting more curious about what else is out there. Where else do I want to play? What else do I want to explore? What other people are out here who may be able to really see me and see this new version of myself, because the people that I've been around, they don't really see me. They don't really, it's not really resonating anymore. I don't feel seen. I don't feel that intuitive connection with them anymore. This isn't instability. This is literally you choosing integrity. This is you choosing to live in integrity and in alignment with your soul. So I want you to remember that the attachments are literally just your ego doing what it wants to do, which is attached to things. Your ego wants to stay attached to whatever it became attached to, whether it's from your childhood, whether it's from 5 years ago, hell, whether it's from 5 months ago, okay? when your soul is asking you to shift, when your soul is ready for something new and ready to literally evolve, you gotta follow that, essentially. Your body is going to feel it. Your nervous system is literally going to start rejecting it. You may start to feel like sick. You literally may start to feel sick when you go into certain environments that are not aligned with you anymore. You don't feel well. It doesn't light you up. It doesn't make you feel good. Never ignore what your body is telling you. The body is hella intuitive. The body is hella smart. Your body is literally the instrument of your nervous system, and it's going to tell you what is in alignment and what is not in alignment. Don't ignore that. Because who wants to be sick? Who wants to not feel good in their body? Literally nobody. No pun intended. But yeah. So, like I said, when things stop fitting, your body knows, your body is telling you, don't ignore that misalignment just because it's something that your ego became attached to and probably still is attached to. When your life is changing this fast, it's just because you are expanding, you are evolving, and your capacity for your soul's truth is expanding, it's emerging, it's you are coming into alignment with that. So when your soul, I have a good little line for you that I have written down. When your soul is in charge, your ego has to unlearn loyalty to expired timelines. When you let your soul lead, your ego has to unlearn loyalty. And there's a difference between being loyal to something that is aligned with your soul and being loyal to something that is attached to your ego. Those are two very different things. Those are two very different feelings. Things that are aligned to your ego will literally have you abandoning yourself. Flat out. That's the bottom line. When you are consistently choosing loyalty to things that are attached to your ego, that's when the self-abandonment comes in. That's when you start choosing other people. That's when you start lying to yourself. That's when you leave yourself. That's when you literally leave your soul. The soul is the self. That is the root of who you are. That's when you start to literally leave yourself in exchange for these external attachments, external things, wanting to be liked, wanting to be accepted, wanting to be loved, wanting to be, wanting to fit in, wanting to make other people feel comfortable. When you start to choose the external over the internal alignment, that's how you know you're being loyal to ego attachments versus being loyal to your soul's alignment. Always choose your soul's alignment. And when you choose to be loyal to your ego attachments, you're going to learn some tough lessons. There are some tough lessons that are going to come with that. And the sooner you can learn this shit, the faster, like flat out. So it's not being flaky. It's not being inconsistent. It's not being disloyal. It's just because your frequency is shifting. So if you've been feeling guilty for evolving, for changing, this is your permission right here, right now. Let go with grace. Let things go. Let people go. I have had situations where I've been let go of, and you don't take it personally. You can't take it personally because things are just always going to change. But you have to trust that you are always being aligned and redirected to your highest path. Especially when you are intentionally working towards that. You're not really working towards it, but when you are continuously moving shit out the way so that you can get in alignment with that, trust that it's going to happen, and trust that a lot of people out here are trying to do the same thing as well in one way, shape, or form. It may not look the same way as the way that you're doing it, but that's also what they're doing too. Everybody is constantly shifting timelines and realities. So Whew. Let me take a drink of water real fast. So like I said, you're supposed to listen when your energy says this does not fit anymore. And you're not supposed to stay in the same spaces forever. Especially when you are on a soul evolution path. When you are on a path of purpose. When you're on a soul assignment. When you are on a mission for your soul. When you're letting your soul lead your life, you're not going to stay in the same spaces. You're going to be called to different spaces, different timelines, etc. All bringing you to your highest timeline where you will feel the most you that you could ever feel in your life, right? And that's what we really want. That's what we want, okay? You're allowed to be missed. You're allowed to move on. You are allowed to outgrow things that you once loved, and you don't owe anybody an explanation for it. That doesn't mean you have to be an asshole at all. You don't have to ghost people. But you can say, this is just no longer aligned with me. Thank you. Always show gratitude. Gratitude always helps any situation for yourself and with other people. Relational. Showing gratitude is a beautiful thing. So if you have been feeling the guilt, the sadness, or even the fear that comes with expanding quickly, I want you to remember that this pace is sacred. This is something that it's normal. And we're going to see more and more people start to come online and talk about this. We're going to start to see more people talk about moving in quantum time as our collective sort of like shifts into this space more and more as we go through the linear years. But just keep evolving. Of course, keep evolving, keep expanding, continue to choose your soul, keep trusting what no longer fits, because you're never going to lose something and not get something back that is more aligned for who you are. The only thing that is happening is that what doesn't match your frequency is not going to stay in alignment with your frequency. Whatever is not a frequency match, and that goes both ways. We talk about this a lot in manifestation. You can only have what you are a frequency match for. You only are going to have what you are a frequency match for. It goes the same way. Whatever is not a frequency match for you that once was, it's going to fade away. It's going to literally dissolve and collapse. That's just how it works in every way, shape, or form. So keep trusting that. It's the law. It's literally a spiritual law. And your soul is literally never going to ask you to let go of something in preparation for something less than what you're letting go of. It's always, always, always asking you to let go of something in preparation for something greater, for something that is more aligned. That's all you really need to know. That's all you really need to trust. If I could sum up this video in one line, that would be it. Always trust that whatever your soul is asking you to let go of is only preparing you for something else to come into alignment that is greater. Whatever your soul is asking you to let go of is only preparing you for something greater to shift into alignment in your reality. So, if this resonated with you, I invite you to grab my Shadow Work Workbook. It's literally the tool that I use to really just be curious about myself. Really just get into this space or this place where I am able to let my soul lead my life. I have integrated so many parts of my soul, the shadows, the shadow aspects of my psyche, the things that, we repress, we ignore, we neglect, we are ashamed of, we are afraid to look at. All of those things, my Shadow Work Workbook is going to help you do that about literally every single aspect of your life, so that you can begin to let your soul take the lead in your life, and trusting your soul's path, trusting your soul's mission. And yeah, so get it. The link is in the description. If this really resonated with you and you want to dig deeper into this work, dig deeper into this path, the more that you can understand your soul, also, the more that you remember, the more you can help yourself remember your soul, it's only going to make this journey feel less scary. It's only gonna, you'll start to embrace the unknown and what's to come a lot more, because you can trust yourself. You know that you're not hiding anything from yourself anymore. There are not aspects of yourself that you're turning away from. You're meeting every single part of yourself with love. You're holding every single part of yourself with love. You're returning to who you really truly are at your soul's essence. And life only gets better from there. So yeah, subscribe to me if you really love this video. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Actualize with Ashley. And yeah, we're going to keep talking about healing and soul evolution and literally living your life in soul alignment, because I believe that is the space that we really should be manifesting from the I am space, from the I am consciousness, the I am knowing who you really truly are at your soul's essence. So tune in next time, and I will see y'all later. Thank you for joining. It's been a pleasure, and have a great day.